Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. The battlefield burned red beneath the twin moons of Zareth 4. Screams echoed through the cracked sky. Smoke rose from fallen ships. Machines sparked and groaned. Blood, both human and alien, stained the soil. Everyone was running. But Thera was moving toward the fire. She was a Zarithian, thin, tall, blue-skinned with silver eyes. Not a soldier, not a fighter, just a med-tech trainee with a small medical pack on her shoulder and fear in her heart. But fear didn't stop her legs from moving, because she had seen him. A human soldier, broken, burned, unmoving. He lay near a shattered transport, his chest rising slowly under torn armor. His face was cut, dirty but alive, his weapon was gone. His helmet cracked. Thera froze for one moment. Every lesson she was ever taught said the same thing. Don't touch a human in combat. Don't interfere. Don't get involved. Humans were known across the galaxy as dangerous, wild, and unpredictable. And yet, this one was dying. She ran. Her boots hit hot metal. Her eyes stung from the smoke. Explosions thudded nearby. "Medic!" someone screamed. But Thera was already at his side. She dropped to her knees. "Hey," she said, her voice shaking. "You can hear me." The human didn't move. Blood leaked from his leg. A piece of metal stuck from his side. His breathing was shallow. Thera reached for her pack. Her hands trembled, but she worked fast. Stabilizer shot, sealant foam, pressure wrap. The heat was rising. Flames licked the ground beside them. She had no time. Thera looked around. No help. Everyone had run, even the soldiers from her own side. She leaned down and whispered, "You better. Be worth this, human." Then she grabbed him under the arms and pulled. He was heavy. His armor dragged like stone. She stumbled, slipped, kept going. Each step away from the fire felt like dragging a mountain. Her lungs burned. Her muscles screamed, but the human groaned. He was alive. By the time she reached the med zone, her arms were numb. She collapsed beside him as the other medics rushed over. "Who is this?" one shouted. "A human," another gasped. Someone pulled her away roughly. "You brought a human here? Are you insane?" Thera could barely speak. He was still breathing. "You endangered yourself for that?" Thera looked at the soldier. He lay still but safe. His chest rose gently. The blood had stopped. She whispered, "Yes, I did." They locked her in a medical supply room, not to punish her, but to keep her away. From questions, from blame, from the human, but news spread quickly. An alien girl pulled a human from the fire. Some called her a hero. Some called her a traitor. Hours passed. Then a tall officer entered the room. Commander Vurak, her superior. He didn't sit. "You broke protocol." Thera looked up, exhausted. He was dying. He was an Earth soldier. Their kind doesn't forget. She nodded. "Good." He stared at her. "Do you think they'll reward you?" "I don't want a reward," she said quietly. "I just want to know he lives." Vurak slammed a datapad on the table. "This action, this one decision, you may have just dragged your name into history." She blinked. "For saving one life?" He leaned forward. "No. For saving a human." Outside the room, across space, a message pinged on a secure line. It was a short report from an alien base medic, filed quietly, as routine. Zarithian med trainee performed unauthorized field extraction. Subject, human soldier. Status, alive. The YAR. Message reached an old server on the edge of Sol Command, Earth's deep war office. There were no alerts, no sirens, just one light. It turned green, and then, far below the surface of Earth, sealed doors opened. Old warships lit up. Long sleeping AIs blinked to life, and across the human fleet an order moved like thunder. One of ours was saved. Prepare response. Thera sat alone in the small room. No medals, no honors, just silence. but far, far above her world. Earth had already decided she was one of theirs now, and that meant the galaxy was about to feel something it hadn't in years. A human war machine, waking up for family. Deep in space, on the edge of Sol system, a small message arrived. Just 11 words. Zerithian med trainee saved wounded Earth soldier. Status: alive. No sirens, no flashing lights. Just a quiet ping on a dusty screen buried under Earth's oldest defense satellite, Sentinel Node 0. The message ran through hundreds of filters, security walls and command triggers. It reached a cold black chamber under Earth's surface. The system paused for exactly 2 seconds. Then, everything changed. On the lunar base Echo 7, a bored technician blinked as every screen turned red. Sir? Commander Rosa Malin, Earth's Emergency Ops Director, stepped beside him. Code red? He shook his head slowly. No, ma'am. It skipped red. It jumped straight to iron black. Within 6 minutes, 10 warships undocked from orbital rings. Earth's deep space AIs activated protocols not used in decades. A signal was sent to every embassy. Terran silence protocol engaged. No diplomatic contact until further notice. And, across the stars, every power in the galaxy watched Earth go completely silent. On Zareth Prime, Thera sat in a guarded med chamber, unaware. The human soldier she had saved was still unconscious. Machines kept his heart steady. The guards treated her like a criminal. No visitors, no answers. She sat on the edge of the bed watching the man sleep. He's still breathing, she whispered. That's enough for now. But far above her sky, Earth was breathing too, and it was getting louder. In the Virilan Senate, leaders argued. What are they doing? Why haven't they responded? They haven't said a word in 12 hours. Then a senator whispered the worst thought. What? If this is the response? Back in Earth Command, Rosa Malin stood before a glowing map. A red dot blinked on Zareth 4. Around it, a growing web of green, Earth's warships already moving. All this, she said quietly, for one soldier. A voice behind her answered, No, Director, not just for him. She turned. An old man stepped out of the shadows. Admiral Keegan, long retired, now back in full uniform. He stared at the screen. She saved one of ours. That makes her one of us. Rosa frowned. But she's alien. She dragged a Terran. Soldier from fire, he said. She chose our side before she even understood the cost. He looked her dead in the eye. And now we'll show the galaxy what that cost them. The next wave of messages were not words. They were movements. Satellite shields reactivated. Stealth ships vanished from radar. Earth's oldest dreadnought, the Harkon's Wrath, turned toward Zerithian space. But no threats were spoken. No demands. Just their motion. In the galactic core, major news channels went dark. Military fleets paused their patrols. Because when Earth goes quiet, history has taught everyone what comes next. The scream that follows is never human. It's from those who stood in their way. On Zareth 4, Thera noticed something strange. The guards no longer mocked her. They avoided eye contact, kept their distance, whispered into comms. She asked for water. No one answered. The silence around her felt heavier by the hour. Then finally, one voice. A technician entered the room and said, quietly, You saved a human. Congratulations. Earth just went to war for you. She froze. What? They're not sending messages, they're sending ships. Thera's heart pounded. I didn't mean to cause, the technician interrupted gently. You didn't cause anything. You triggered it. He looked at the human soldier. He was one of theirs. And now, so are you. Above Zareth 4, stars moved. Unmarked ships with no call signs. Quiet engines. No colors, just black hulls. Old Terran warcraft designed for one thing. Show up, shut down, and disappear. The Zerithian fleet didn't respond. They didn't even move. Because deep down, they understood. They didn't rescue the human. Thera did, and that meant she was now under Earth's protection. The sky above Zareth 4 changed color, not from storms, not from sunsets, but from shadows, cold, massive, and silent. Earth's fleet had arrived. They did not enter orbit like other ships. No flashing lights, no warnings, no hails. They simply appeared. Black, silent giants drifting into position, and the world below froze. In the capital of Virilan Reach, traffic stopped mid-air. Security beacons blinked nervously, and the Zarithian military stood by with orders to do nothing, because deep down, every officer knew. You don't fire on Earth ships. You survive them. In a locked medical facility near the southern plains, Thera sat alone. The human soldier she had saved still lay silent in the recovery bed beside her, vitals steady. She wasn't crying. She wasn't afraid. She was waiting. Then, the floor vibrated, not from an explosion, not from a drill. It was a landing. Heavy. Final. Outside, 6 humans stepped off a dark gray transport vessel. They wore black armor with no symbols, no visible weapons. Helmets covered their faces. The guards at the facility gate stepped forward, hesitated, then stepped aside. No one said a word, not because they were ordered to, but because they understood. The doors opened. The humans entered. Each step was slow, heavy, and without fear. No scanning, no arguing, no noise. They walked straight to the medical chamber, guided not by maps, but by purpose. Inside, Thera stood, up her voice barely above a whisper. You came. The one in front nodded. He removed his helmet, an older human, scars on his cheek, eyes like quiet storms. We're late, he said. Thera shook her head. You're just in time. One of the humans stepped to the side of the bed, checking the wounded soldier's vitals. Stable, he said. He'll wake soon. Another looked at Thera. You ready to leave? She blinked. Leave? You pulled him from the fire, the leader said. That means your family. But I'm not human, she said softly. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He simply said, You bled for one of ours. Now we bleed for you. In the control tower above the medical base, a Zarithian commander watched the feed. He saw the humans enter, saw the guards step aside, saw Thera walk out between them, untouched, unharmed, unchained. He said nothing. No alarms were raised, no units were deployed, because every officer in the tower understood. If you fire at the Terran Honor Guard, your planet will never appear on a star map again. The human shuttle lifted off with the same silence it arrived with. No one followed. No one dared. Back in orbit, the Earth fleet opened a gap in its line, just wide enough for the transport to pass through. Once it cleared, the ships remained. Still. Watching. Still silent. A message without words. Inside the shuttle, Thera sat quietly. No one spoke. The human beside her finally broke the silence. You know what happens now, don't you? She nodded. I become a symbol. No, he said. You become ours. That's different. She looked at the soldier in the recovery pod, the man she had dragged from fire. I just wanted to save someone. The human nodded. That's what makes you dangerous. Back on Zareth 4, news spread like wildfire. They came, they walked in, they took her, and they didn't fire a single shot. And across military outposts, alien academies, and shadowy war rooms, one rule was repeated. If you hurt a human, prepare for war. But if you save one, prepare for something worse. Earth's love is louder than its rage. The human ship flew through silent space, smooth, steady, cold. Thera sat near a window, watching the stars blur. She wasn't sure if she was free, or being protected, or both. She hadn't said much since leaving Zareth 4. No one had asked her anything, either. They didn't interrogate her. They didn't question her choice. They just gave her space. and somehow that silence spoke louder than all the words her own people ever used. When they arrived at Sol Station Theta, Thera expected noise, soldiers, attention. Instead, she was met by a quiet human woman in a long coat. No rank on her shoulders, no weapon in sight. She just smiled. "Welcome home." Thera blinked. "But this isn't my home," the woman replied gently. "It is now." They took her to a private suite. Not a cell. Not a hospital. A home. With soft walls, a warm bed, food waiting on the table. No guards. Just a window overlooking the earth below. And something else on the desk, a data pad with one message. "You're safe now. Rest. There's no debt." Earth command. That night she barely slept. How could she? The galaxy saw humans as aggressive, loud, chaotic. But now, they treated her like royalty. She hadn't saved a president, she hadn't ended a war, she just dragged one human out of fire. Was that really enough to earn this much? The next morning she walked into the dining hall. The moment she stepped in, every human soldier in the room stood up. Some of them had scars, some wore medals, some were built like tanks, but all of them rose in silence, hands behind their backs. She froze. I don't understand." One man stepped forward, older, white hair, a steel plate across his jaw. "You saved Sergeant Cole Brannick. He's one of ours." "That means," he saluted, "you're one of ours now too." Thera sat at the table, slowly. They served her Earth food, fresh, hot, carefully chosen, and for the first time in her life she felt something alien, loyalty not given by blood, but by choice. And once given by humans, it never goes away. Later she met with the officer who managed the honor guard who'd brought her in, a tall woman named Captain Imani Kerr. She didn't smile much, but her voice was warm. "You're officially under Earth's protection," she said. Thera tilted her head. "So, I'm your guest?" Imani shook her head. "No. You're under our banner." "What does that mean?" Imani looked her straight in the eyes. "It means if someone tries to harm you, we answer. And our answer is always louder than the question." That afternoon, Thera walked through the medical wing. People she'd never met, humans, saluted her, smiled, nodded with quiet respect. She peeked into one room, and her breath caught. Sergeant Cole Brannick lay there, eyes still closed but healing, fast, the human she saved. The reason her life had changed. A nurse approached and said softly, "He asks for you when he stirs in his sleep." Thera stepped inside the room, stood quietly beside the bed. Cole's lips moved faintly. "You pulled me, didn't you?" Her hand gently touched his arm. "Yes," she whispered. "I pulled you from the fire." Later that evening, Thera sat alone in her suite. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly, calm and blue. A soft knock came. Captain Imani stood at the door. "We have a question for you," she said. Thera nodded. "What is it?" The captain smiled. "Do you want to stay with us, not just for protection, but as part of something bigger?" Thera frowned. "You mean, like a soldier?" Imani shook her head. "No, not a soldier." She stepped aside, revealing a new uniform. It wasn't armor, it wasn't war, it was soft white, with a small patch of earth and stars. "Terran peace envoy," Imani spoke gently. "You didn't fight. You saved. And that's the kind of strength we want the galaxy to see." Thera looked down at the uniform, then at her hands, then at Earth. And for the first time since that fire, she felt ready to walk forward. News of Thera's rescue by humans spread across the galaxy like fire. Some called her a symbol of peace. Others called her a traitor. But back on Zareth 4, where she was born, the voices were not kind. On the Zarethian public channels, her name appeared under headlines like, "Alien girl betrays her own for human favor." "Thera, the human pet? She belongs to Earth now, let them keep her." And in the High Council Hall of Zareth IV, the debate turned harsh. Councillor Revar stood up, voice cold. She abandoned her people, she helped the humans, she let Earth make her their property, and you. Older voice challenged him. She saved a life, Revar snapped. A human life. That's not the same. A motion was passed. Official statement from Zareth IV. We revoke Thera's citizenship. She is no longer welcome on Zareth soil. Let Earth deal with her now. The message was broadcast publicly, but before the signal reached even half the galaxy, Earth had already responded. No reply, no broadcast, no threats, just a fleet, 12 ships. Dark, silent, unnamed. They appeared in low orbit above Zareth IV and stayed. The Zarithian military panicked. Fighter squadrons scrambled. Ground cannons powered up, but none fired, because everyone remembered what happened on other worlds. When Earth showed up like this, they didn't come to talk. They came to be seen. In the council hall, Councillor Revar turned pale. They didn't even knock. He said quietly. A junior officer entered the chamber. He was shaking. They've sent a message, but it's not a transmission. What is it? The officer placed a small silver box on the table. Revar opened it with trembling hands. Inside, a simple card. She is under our protection. That is all you need to know. Earth Command, no threats, no numbers, no list of demands, just a promise. And Earth had never broken a promise to its own. From orbit, the Earth fleet didn't move closer, didn't fire, didn't even speak. They didn't have to, because silence from Earth meant only one thing. You've already gone too far. The next move is not yours anymore. On Sol Station Theta, Thera stood before a clear screen showing her homeworld, Zareth IV, now resting under Earth's shadow. She had read the broadcasts, seen the messages, heard the words, traitor, shameful. Weak, her eyes filled with quiet pain. I was just a medic, she whispered. I didn't want war. Behind her, Captain Imani stood quietly. No one said you started war. Then why all this? Imani stepped forward. Because Earth has a rule. We never punish those who pull us from fire. Later, in the strategy room, Admiral Keegan gave a final order. Keep the fleet in position for 72 hours. Sir, why not respond directly? He looked at the display. Because they already know what we'd say. And right now, fear speaks better than words. Back on Zareth IV, a message was sent directly to Earth. A quiet message. Apologetic. Careful. We regret our previous words. We respect Earth's guardianship. We will no longer comment on Thera's status. Earth's reply? Nothing. Just a slight repositioning of the fleet. 2 ships moved closer. That was enough. The next day, an anonymous message appeared on galactic comm channels. If you ever find a human on fire, save them, or don't. But know this, if you do, you'll never stand alone again. Even if your world turns its back, Earth never will. And somewhere deep in her quiet room, Thera looked out at the stars. She didn't ask for revenge. She didn't want glory. She just wanted to know she had done the right thing. And now, she understood. Kindness was not weakness. It was the strongest weapon Earth had ever known. The medical bay on Sol Station Theta was quiet. Machines blinked softly. The air was warm and still. Outside the window, Earth glowed like a blue pearl. Thera sat beside the bed where the human soldier lay. It had been days since she'd pulled him from the fire. She didn't know his name until now. Sergeant Cole Brannock. Earth had told her he was a decorated soldier, a frontline veteran, brave, skilled. But to her, he was just the man she refused to leave behind. She held a folded cloth in her hands. She had been wiping the sweat from his forehead every few hours. Still breathing, she whispered. Still stubborn. Then, the monitor changed. The line that tracked his heartbeat spiked, just a little. Thera sat up straighter. She leaned forward. Cole? His eyes moved beneath his lids. Then slowly, very slowly, they opened. Dark brown, clear, sharp. He blinked. His gaze moved across the ceiling, then toward her and stopped. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then his voice, raspy, tired, cut through the silence. You're the one. Thera nodded gently. Yes. You pulled me out? Yes. He blinked again. A long, heavy breath escaped his chest. Thank you. Thera smiled. You're welcome. But then his face changed. His hand, weak, trembling, reached for her sleeve, and he asked, voice low but steady, Are you safe? Thera froze. She had expected questions about the battlefield, about his squad, maybe even about Earth. But this? Are you safe? She nodded, swallowing a lump in her throat. Yes. Your people came for me. They brought me here. Cole closed his eyes briefly. Good, he whispered. That matters. A moment passed. Then he said, Earth. They didn't forget, did they? Thera shook her head. No, they remembered everything. Cole chuckled softly. That sounds like us. Soon after, a nurse entered and saw him awake. Within minutes, Earth Command was notified. Security doubled around the wing, not to protect him, to protect the one who saved him. Later that evening, Cole asked to speak to her alone. The others stepped out. Thera sat beside his bed again. He looked better now. Still pale, still weak, but clearer, more focused. Do you know what you did? He asked. Thera nodded. I pulled you from the fire. No, Cole said softly. You started something bigger. He looked her in the eyes. You reminded Earth that loyalty doesn't need to be blood. Just a hand reaching through smoke, that's all it takes. Thera didn't reply, but her eyes began to sting. She looked down. Cole continued. They came for you, because that's what we do. We don't leave people behind, ever. Doesn't matter where you're from. He smiled weakly. You belong now. You may not wear the flag, but you've earned it. She wiped her eyes and nodded. I didn't do it for glory, she said. I know, Cole replied. That's what makes it real. The next day, Earth Command issued a public statement. Sergeant Cole Bronick has regained consciousness. He is alive because someone chose courage over politics. We stand with that choice, and with her. The statement was brief. But across 100 worlds it echoed. On Zareth 4, the mocking headlines stopped. On neutral planets, aliens began studying the phrase, Terran loyalty. And in hushed voices, people began asking, who do humans protect? The answer was now simple. Anyone who protects them first. Later that week, Cole was moved from the ICU to a recovery chamber. Thera walked beside his chair. He leaned toward her. You know what I was thinking while unconscious? What? I thought I saw a light and then felt hands dragging me. He looked at her, and I kept wondering who in their right mind would pull me out of that hell. She laughed softly. I wasn't in my right mind. He grinned. No, you were in your best mind. And in that moment, with no ceremony, no parade, no medal, a bond was sealed, not of nations, not of war, but of something Earth held above all else. Loyalty returned, with interest. Weeks passed. The war on Zareth 4 ended. The smoke cleared. The stars turned. But one name still echoed through systems and stations, whispers in war rooms. Not of a hero, not of a warrior, but of a girl, an alien girl. They called her the Fire Saver. Across Earth and its allied colonies, Thera's story was taught to cadets and medics alike, not as a military report, but as a lesson in loyalty, a lesson in how everything can change with one decision, even if no one's watching. On Sol Station Theta, Thera stood in front of a quiet room. No crowd, just a small gathering of officers, scientists, and civilians, and Sergeant Cole Bronick, now fully recovered, standing beside her. A Terran official, stepped forward. No rank on her shoulders. Just a dark blue coat with a patch that read, Earth Remembers. She held a small box in her hands. Thera hesitated. I don't need a medal. The official smiled. This isn't a medal. It's a promise. She opened the box. Inside, a simple bracelet. Silver. Plain. Unmarked. Except for 3 tiny symbols on the inside band. E. Thera blinked. What does it mean? Cole answered quietly from beside her. Earth. Family. Protected. The bracelet wasn't a weapon. It didn't glow. It didn't hum. But when she wore it, doors opened. Literally. When she stepped near Earth Embassy, checkpoints, they let her through without question. When she entered war zones, she was listed on protected manifests. When she boarded human ships, no one scanned her ID because they didn't need to. She wore the bracelet. That was enough. One day, Thera returned to the very battlefield where it all began. The wreckage was gone. Nature had started to grow back. She stood quietly, watching the wind push tall grass where fire once raged. Cole walked up beside her. They're naming this field after you, he said. She looked at him. Why? He smiled. Because it was never really a battlefield, was it? It became something else the moment you made a choice. Later, on a neutral colony, 2 alien children pointed at her. That's the fire saver, one whispered. She made Earth move, said the other. Thera knelt beside them. I didn't move Earth, she said gently. I just held on to someone's arm and refused to let go. She was invited to speak at peace summits, but she never gave long speeches. She never talked about war or ships or soldiers. Only one thing. Kindness doesn't need to be brave. But when it is, it becomes unstoppable. Years passed. Galactic politics shifted. Wars came and went. But the story never faded. Across worlds, you could still hear someone say, if you save a human, Earth doesn't thank you with medals. They thank you with everything. And on Earth, in the Terran Hall of Quiet Valor, her bracelet now rests behind a glass panel. Not because she died, but because the galaxy needed to see it. Beside the display, a single engraved sentence. She didn't ask for loyalty. She simply gave hers first, and Earth never forgot. Thera continued working. She became a healer, a speaker, a protector. But no matter where she went, one name always followed her, the Fire Saver, and every human child grew up learning. If you ever see someone pulling one of us from the fire, help them, follow them, fight beside them. Because Earth doesn't worship strength. Earth worships those who stand up when no one else will, just like her.